Hi, this is Ben from SSW, and I've just gotten out of an excellent interview with Dan Wahlin. Now, he's one of the top dogs in AngularJS development and has been training developers in AngularJS essentially since the framework came out. We got his thoughts on AngularJS, including the sweeping changes in Angular 2.0. We also learned a little bit about how the Angular team and the TypeScript team are working together. It's an excellent interview, so let's get stuck into it.
Hey everyone, this is Ben from SSW, and I'm here with Dan Wahlin. We're going to talk AngularJS and other bits today. Dan, how's it going?
Going good.
Excellent, excellent. Do you want to start off by just explaining who you are and what you do?
Sure. So first off, thanks. You got my name right, which is rare. I think everybody thinks it's Wahlin or Wahlin or some off slant of that. But in fact, the only place I've ever been that gets it right is Norway.
Oh, nice.
Everybody in Sweden and Norway, I guess it's Swedish name. But anyway, so yeah, I run a consulting company called Wahlin Consulting. We're based in Arizona, and nowadays we do a lot, everything from SharePoint to ASP.NET MVC to Node.js. But yeah, lately it's been a lot of AngularJS applications, and do a lot of training and consulting.
Awesome, awesome. And so, what's your experience with AngularJS been like so far?
So I came from, I kind of have that Microsoft background originally, which it's a little bit weird nowadays because everybody's like, what, you're doing, Node.js and Angular, all this open source stuff. But I did a lot of Silverlight back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
So if anyone's done, Silverlight or WPF type data binding, you move to the web and you kind of get hooked on that data binding technology. So long story short, Knockout.js came out, and that was pretty cool at the time, and but it wasn't really a framework. And so yeah, the way I got started was I jumped in and went, literally my first impression was, this is crap. Because there was all these pieces, and I kind of felt like you're in the Lego store, trying to build a toy, and there's no manual.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't know how these things fit together. So anyway, I kept telling myself, I was like, it can't be this hard, And it wasn't. It was just, you had to know how the pieces fit together. So I ended up doing a conference talk on it at a conference a couple of years ago, and then did the AngularJS in 60-ish minutes video on YouTube, which has had a pretty good number of views now.
Oh, nice.
And then from then on, I just took off with it, and I love it. It's great. I mean, it's not perfect. It like every framework, it has flaws.
Yeah. Have you ridden the BenNadel Rollercoaster yet? Have you seen that?
I have. That's a great graphic, and that's awesome, how it goes. Because at first you're like, this is, well, I guess it'd be like, this is horrible, and then, oh, this is great, and
Oh man. So have you used AngularJS with a framework like MVC, specifically ASP.NET?
Absolutely. We're actually doing we just wrapped it up, actually. We're doing a project for Microsoft, the Office 365 kind of group. And in that project, we kind of had a couple choices on how to do things. Now, we ended up on that one we had to do a middleman service, you could call it.
Right.
And we ended up on that one doing an HTTP handler. But yeah, other stuff. In fact, up on my GitHub side, I have some sample apps that are MVC. And it's interesting, right? Because you got the server-side world, you have the client-side world, and it's like, how much do you do of each world?
That's right, yeah. What's your preferred backend for working with AngularJS, actually?
My favorite backend is still, I like Web API.
Yeah.
With C#. My kind of really close second would be Node.js with some of either the REST modules or just Express. Kind of depends, but I think Web API, it does so much for so little code.
Yep, definitely.
That it's easy. SQL Server, I'm kind of a SQL guy, or I've been doing a lot on the Node.js side, more MongoDB, or we're kind of been doing some Postgres lately.
Oh, cool. Right.
Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm newer to that database.
So with the server-side apps, do you find you prefer single page apps, or do you still like having a page post back and the traditional server-side part to it as well?
I always say choose the right tool for the right job. If I were building a CNN.com or BBC or something like that site, and I want, the SEO, and I want the just instant load, and you have the data, and there's not a lot of AJAX going back and things like that, I'd probably opt for just server side. I think there's great uses for spas, and I also think there's some bad uses for spas. To me, I think it could be cool, I guess, if you click, you're reading an article that you wrote or something, and all of a sudden I click a link, and it transitions nicely, and there's no full page reload. I just don't know in that world that's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are doing something, maybe it's a wizard of a form or a line of business app or something where you kind of want that seamless transition between views, screens, then I think spas make a lot of sense. I kind of explain when people ask in our training classes, why do you do spas? I always say, well, if you're after like a desktop-like performance, as in it, the screen just loads and there's no refresh like you talked about.
Yeah, definitely.
But you want that web deployment model, and you can touch mobile, you can touch, browsers, you can touch tablets. Then, spas I think can be good. But yeah, to sum it up, I think it depends on what you're building.
Right, cool. And have you had much experience with the SEO portion of a single page app?
That's a good question. Yes and no. So I haven't had to do it what I'm going to call for real. Our clients, every spa we've built has been for internal purposes, and they don't care. Well, they don't even want to show up on Google or Bing or whatever. They never would because it's internal. There's actually, on the Node side, that's where it gets kind of cool. There are some third-party services that you can pay. Right. And what they do is they basically run your site, get the output, and store it away. But then they have it's a robot or spider or whatever you want to call it, redirect, that if it's a spider, you'll go over to this kind of static site. But if it's a live person, which they can detect through, the headers and things, then you'll go to the spa. Using like in Node.js, they have some cool modules that use like Phantom.js, which is a headless browser. You can actually do that yourself. And then Google announced, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago or something like that.
It was recent enough.
They're gonna start basically crawling the JavaScript as well, and I'm sure the other search engines will follow, and it's going to get better. But yeah, the SEO story on spas right as of today is still
fair enough.
Kind of got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, and how do you feel about sort of the general trend of us moving from jQuery being the predominant go-to JavaScript library to things like Angular these days?
Yeah, that's so I've done a lot with jQuery, as you probably have as well.
Yes.
That's all I did for whenever it came out. Well, what's it been? 7 years ago, probably. I didn't start like the day it came out, but in fact, when jQuery came out, I thought it was Java Query. Because it wasn't popular yet. And I kept hearing jQuery. I'm like, because Java was super popular at that point. And anyway, long story short, I've been a huge jQuery fan for forever. Here's what I'd say on that. Your jQuery knowledge is not wasted, first off, because if you're going to build AngularJS directives, which is actually what I've been doing all day, you still have to know all that DOM stuff. Whether you use JQLite, which is in Angular, or whether you suck in the full jQuery. It's not wasted. Again, I think it's right tool for right job. I recently had to do a video type site, all DOM, manipulation stuff. You for instance, when you click on the video, it's HTML5. It pauses it and then has to make a call back to the server to say where you pause, so that if you go back to the page, it picks right up, kind of like YouTube does.
Oh, awesome.
I started out with Angular on that just because, that's the thing, and realized quickly that, I don't think it's appropriate here. Right. I just need a DOM manipulation library, because I did have to worry about IE8, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, right, yes.
Otherwise, I would have said, we'll just go vanilla JavaScript. But so anyway, long story short, I have two approaches to that. I call jQuery what I call a control-centric approach, or control-oriented is what I call it approach. I've even blogged about this. If you want good bedtime, put you to sleep stuff, I got a post.
Excellent.
But you're always worrying about getting into and out of controls. Whereas with Angular, Ember, even Knockout, you set up those bindings and you have that two-way binding, and it really saves you just a ton of code. So again, right tool for the right job, which is like a lame way to get out of a good answer, but it's true, you know?
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Now, Angular, of course, it's reasonably new. It's a relatively young framework, but they have recently announced the version 2.0.
Yep.
It came with some pretty sweeping changes.
Yes.
And I've found on your blog some opinions on this, but do you want to explain sort of what you think about these changes and this kind of thing happening to a framework like this?
So the first thing I'd say is if you're working in JavaScript today and you're hoping something's going to be around for a long, long time, you're just in the wrong business. It's just, unfortunately, the pace, as you know, it's outrageous. I mean, it's ridiculous, actually, how fast the pace is. And, you know, I think in the end, I think it's going to settle down eventually. And I think it's all for the good because there's so much we can do now without plugins and, you know, whether it's Flash or Silverlight or whatever. And I think that's good. But getting back to your question on, you know, the 2.0 and the big changes. So everybody was pretty up in arms about, oh, I'm going to have to rewrite everything. And I do think there probably are some things, you're going to have to rewrite. I mean, for instance, I hope, and I just had a call with the Angular team last week or 2 weeks ago about something else we're doing. And, you know, I kind of said, hey, if you guys jump, for instance, to web components and totally get rid of directives, I'm not going to shed a tear because directives are a little tricky. You know, if you've written directive in Angular, there's a little more involved. So anyway, long story short, my take on it is if they don't do a massive move, these other frameworks will. Ember's already announced, for instance, that they're going to move to, you know, ES6, for instance. Now, it sounds like they're going to do it a little more gradually, which I applaud. I kind of wish that the announcement for the Angular 2 would have been like, hey, we're going to do this, but here's the baby steps, you know, to get us there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm okay either way with it. I've been in this business long enough to just know that expect change and just love it, I guess.
Yes. Well, I guess with the Angular 2.0 stuff, I mean, the stuff you've learned with the Angular up to, I think, 1.3 we're at now, it's not completely wasted. I mean, you still should understand, you know, what it's doing in the background and how it works and
absolutely
how the linking works and all that sort of stuff. So,
you know, the routing, the whole, here's what I love about Angular. If you said, what's your top feature? I mean, I love data binding, but I think my top feature is it's one of the first JavaScript frameworks that came out, in framework, not library, right? You know, framework that came out. And there's a big difference there. That sort of, I won't say forced you, because you could do it the wrong way still, but maybe gently guided you towards separation of concerns and thinking more modularly. Yeah, definitely. And so my take on the future of it is if you're writing really modular apps right now, which you should be, then whatever they do, you shouldn't be that worried about. Because, you might have to change like routing. Yeah, that's probably going to be totally changed, I hope, because it needs to get better. What are they going to do with, you know, factories and services? I think those are just, you know, they're components probably now. And so I think if you broke those out, it's just JavaScript. And I get it when you have one of these. I had a company recently, they had it was literally 100,000 lines of JavaScript code.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
that's some serious code.
That's massive. I totally get that you don't want, you know, the rug ripped out from under you. But if you followed what they've done with, you know, 1.3 continues to move forward. 1.4, I think it's on beta 2 right now. It's not like they're going to drop the 1X version in the meantime.
Yeah, of
course,
so
I think everybody like has this need. Oh, we got to move to the latest version. No, you don't. Yours is working fine today. You like it today. So how come tomorrow? Why is it so bad tomorrow? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
well, how do you? So I mean, talking about you know, plain old JavaScript, how do you feel about Angular sort of extending TypeScript and, you know, ES6 kind of stuff getting in there?
So good question, because we've also been doing, we're doing a project right now. In fact, next week I'll be up at Microsoft with this. I got to sit down with Anders, actually, one-on-one, which was awesome. He's a super cool guy.
Oh, nice.
You know, and he's the C#, TypeScript, Delphi, you know, guy. They are, first off, Microsoft is really, really serious about making TypeScript, you know, as viable as possible for the open source community. They absolutely do not want it to be viewed as, hey, this is just for, you know, Visual Studio developers.
Yeah.
You know, you could use it with Node or whatever. So the good news is, and who knows where this will end up, but the Angular team is actually meeting with, and they've already met with them once, I know, and I think either this week or last or something like that, they were going to meet again in person, from what I heard.
Oh, cool.
They're looking at, you know, the rumor on the street is, and I can't confirm or deny because I honestly don't know. I've just heard little whispers. But I think the TypeScript team, they're very keen on, we want to do whatever you guys need to just keep it in TypeScript. And so that's the direction it seems to be going. Now, whether or not that pans out and @script totally branches off, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that they seem to be working together. I mean, who would have thought, you know, Microsoft.
Yeah. They're totally crazy, right?
Together. It's like a whole new world out there.
Yeah, because it seemed like when it was announced, it was quite, you know, new to everyone, even the TypeScript guys.
Yeah, well, they had talked, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had talked, from what I heard from one of the Angular team members. So, and again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I like know, because I don't. I've had a couple meetings and a few discussions. I love TypeScript. TypeScript is, so we are doing a project for Microsoft right now, and I'm not saying that because of this project. I did something with my buddy John Papa as well for Pluralsight. Gosh, it's been a year and a half at least on TypeScript.
Yep.
So I've actually liked it for quite a while. It's awesome because I like the move they're making towards that, because right now, if you want to do ES6, which I think is going to totally revolutionize JavaScript. A lot of people are like, I don't want classes in my JavaScript. Me, I'm like, no, give me classes. You know, I think everybody has an opinion, but I think that the move to ES6 right now, in fact, I've started a whole new blog series on this, is, you know, it's possible. And I have a couple buddies that's what they're doing right now. Rob Eisenberg has a new framework coming out called Aurelia, for instance, all ES6 based. You could use TypeScript, you could use even CoffeeScript, but it's behind the scenes, it's all ES6 based. So the problem there is, you know, then you got to resort to some of the JavaScript task managers to build to ES5 or 3, like Gulp or Grunt or Brunch or whatever your snack is. And so it's a little more hassle, whereas TypeScript, you can literally write not every feature, but a lot of the features are in TypeScript from ES6, like, you know, classes and modules. They just introduced the new let keyword, const enums, constructors, you know, that's all there.
Yep.
And you just set it up, and yeah, you still have to, you know, compile, transpile, they call it, to, you know, ES5, but man, is the process smooth. So
nice.
I'm guessing that's why Angular's been pretty serious about looking at it, because it's kind of a great sort of way to get into ES6 without the dangers.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway.
Cool. Well, I mean, you mentioned Gulp and Grunt and stuff there. Have you had any experience with Bower and sort of the, you know, differences between that and, say, just using NuGet for everything?
Yeah, or NPM. From Node, either way. Yeah, it's, you know, Visual Studio 2015, as you probably already know, is going to have Bower and Grunt out of the box, but it'll also do Gulp, I guess. I prefer Gulp like a million times more than Grunt.
Right.
That one I'll be pretty I'm not that opinionated, but that one I am. You just get into what I call JSON hell in Grunt. It works great. I mean, I've used it a ton over the last like year, but Gulp's more readable. It's going to be interesting because, you know, Bower is, for those that are listening that maybe are going, what the heck are these things?
Yeah.
You know, Bower is kind of a client-side package manager, like you said, like sort of like NuGet does. Yeah. Sort of. But then there's also NPM, you know, and that's the Node package module system. What is it, npmjs.org or something like that?
Yes.
And you can go look up, like, I want jQuery, I want whatever, and through the command line, I can just do it, or I can run a package.json file. I like Bower. I don't have anything, I'm not opposed to it. I think it's pretty cool that, you, Ben, give me a project and I run a quick little either Visual Studio tool or a command line tool. Boom, I got everything.
Yep.
It's like building with NuGet, right? You just, like, you can't run the project at first because you got to get all the NuGet stuff, but you build and you got it.
Yeah, and I think it sort of organizes your JavaScript and your CSS a little bit better, because, I mean, I don't know if you've recently tried to use NuGet for any of that stuff, but it puts it where it wants.
That's one thing I don't like about NuGet. Yeah, is I, especially in Angular apps, sometimes I don't want it in the scripts folder, for instance.
Exactly, yeah.
So with Bower and NPM and all that, you can totally control where it goes.
Excellent.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Cool. Well, with all this Angular talk, I mean, is there any, do you know of any events or any sort of cool places to hang out if you're an Angular enthusiast?
Well, I think, we literally just announced it 2 days ago. So you guys, this is like live on the air news, man.
Excellent.
Yeah, we have a new, in fact, we've been working with, that's why I had some meetings with Angular team recently. And the TypeScript team. We're hoping, I don't have a commitment yet, but we're hoping to get them. But we're going to be doing a conference June 22nd through 25th, including the workshop days.
Cool.
In San Francisco. And it'll be, the Angular team is going to be there. And they're going to be giving a keynote. Cool. And doing some Angular 2 goodness and all that. We also have, you probably heard of Douglas Crockford. He's planned to be there, give a keynote on ES6.
Excellent.
So it's called Angular U. So you can go to AngularU, I think it's .com. Can't remember if we did .com or .org. It's .com, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
But we're also taking, for those listening, we're doing a call for speakers as well.
Oh,
so,
excellent.
If you're interested in speaking, we already have a lot of cool people that are big in the Angular world coming, and we're looking forward to it.
Excellent. Oh, that sounds great.
Aside from that, though, that was kind of a little, I guess,
a little bit of a plug.
A little bit of a plug, more than a little, but hey, you guys can edit it out, right?
That's right.
I think the biggest thing I do when it comes to Angular is I'm in Google Plus, which I actually like a lot. There's a pretty big Angular group. The Angular team, I think they started it. And I haven't looked recently, but there's probably up to 20 to 30,000, Angular developers.
Wow, that's great.
So I'll go there and, post things or learn what someone else did. And you know how it is. You'll be stuck on a problem and you'll go look at some of these areas and go, oh, there we go.
Absolutely.
So that's what I need. Great. So I think that's a good one for people is go check out, go sign up on Google Plus and check out the, I'd have to pull it up, but it's easy to find. It's the biggest one. It's the Angular community group, I think they call it.
We'll get it on screen now. You ready? Up it comes.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
There we go. You guys can, through the magic of editing, we can make this happen.
That's right. Speaking of, answering questions and all that sort of things, I've noticed you've done a few great video courses. Do you have anything new coming up?
You're just leading in great, man. Yeah, I'm actually working on, even though Angular 2 is coming out, I know there's a lot of companies out there that aren't going to make the jump right away. They have too much invested. So yeah, on udemy.com, I have AngularJS Jumpstart, and it's udemy.com, and it's doing good. It's that's actually a great place to get discussion, but you got to buy the course to get into the discussion forum, but we have a lot of people in there.
Oh, that sounds great.
And then, actually today, before we got on, in fact, it's on my monitor. Can you see it? I could drag it over. I'm working on a new AngularJS custom directives course.
Oh,
so
cool.
It'll be a video course on building directives. So
excellent.
Keeps me busy.
That sounds great. Anyway, Dan, thanks very much for the chat. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been great to talk with you, Ben.
Excellent. You too. Anyway, I'm Ben from SSW. Be sure to check out more clips from tv.ssw.com, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
Did you get all that? We'll take the SSW TV quiz and test your knowledge now.